December 26, 1502, the town square of Cesena, Italy. At dawn, the citizens wake to find the body of the most feared man in the region, Ramiro de Orco, publicly displayed. A knife placed ceremonially beside him, his hands positioned as if pleading. The people rejoice. Their tormentor is gone. What they do not know is that Ramiro was removed on the exact orders of the man he served most loyally. Cesare Borgia, the ruler whose methods Robert Greene would later analyze as one of history's most chilling examples of strategic power. Most people believe evil announces itself, that it screams and threatens and snarls. That is a lie told by movies. Real evil is quiet, strategic, ceremonial. It smiles while it calculates exactly when to remove you. 7 signs separate ordinary cruelty from this kind of evil. Miss them and you become Ramiro. The word evil has been watered down. We throw it at politicians we disagree with, at exes who hurt us, at traffic. We have made it meaningless. Real evil, the kind Robert Greene studies through the recurring patterns of power and human nature. The kind Dr. Robert Hare spent 40 years mapping inside the minds of incarcerated psychopaths is not loud. It does not rage. It calculates. Dr. Hare, the psychologist who designed the psychopathy checklist used in forensic evaluations across the world, wrote something in Without Conscience that most readers miss. He said the thing that disturbed him most about the psychopaths he interviewed was not their cruelty, it was their composure, their relaxed breathing, their normal eye contact, their ability to sit in a room and describe disturbing acts with the same emotional intensity you would use to describe what you ate for lunch. Evil is not a temperature, it is a temperament. The truly harmful person operates by principles, a grammar, a method, 7 signatures that, once you see them, you cannot unsee. Ordinary people exhibit 1 or 2 in moments of weakness. The truly dangerous carry all 7 as their operating system. The first sign is the one that has preserved every tyrant in history, from Cesare Borgia to the modern corporate sociopath sitting 3 desks away from you right now. The first sign is the one that has preserved every tyrant in history, from Cesare Borgia to the modern corporate sociopath sitting 3 desks away from you right now. Sign 1, the sacrificial proxy. Return to Cesena. December 1502. Cesare Borgia has conquered the region of Romagna. It is ungovernable. Feudal lords control every valley. Crime is rampant. Peasants are robbed on the open roads. Cesare needs order. He also needs to avoid being hated by the people once order is imposed. So he sends Ramiro de Orco, a man described by contemporaries as ruthless and efficient. Ramiro restores order through public punishments, severe enforcement, and systematic fear. Within 2 years, Romagna is pacified, silent, obedient. The people do not hate Cesare. They hate Ramiro. And this is exactly what Cesare engineered. When the region is stable, Cesare arrests his own lieutenant, removes him from power, and displays the consequences publicly in the square. The message to the public: I am shocked by the harshness you suffered. I am the one who delivered you from it. Robert Greene analyzes this episode as one of the most brilliant examples of political theater ever executed. This is the sacrificial proxy. The dangerous person does not do their own dirty work. They recruit someone, often a loyal lieutenant, a sibling, a subordinate, or a spouse they have groomed, and they outsource the cruelty. Then, when the social cost arrives, they sacrifice the proxy. They become the savior of the aftermath. Watch for this in your own life. The manager who has someone else deliver every bad message. The family member who encourages a cousin to say what they themselves are thinking. The friend who spreads rumors through a shared acquaintance and keeps their hands clean. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, in her clinical work with narcissistic abuse survivors, describes a version of this as flying monkey deployment. Though she borrows the metaphor from fiction, the mechanism itself is ancient. The telltale sign is simple. When confronted, they pivot instantly. I never said that. That was them. I had no idea. They are horrified. They distance themselves. They may even criticize the proxy publicly. You leave the conversation thinking they're on your side. You were never on their side. You were the audience they performed the punishment for. A healthy person owns their cruelty. They apologize or double down, but they own it. The dangerous person lets someone else own it, then points at the smoke. If one specific person keeps ending up damaged in your relationships, and your friend keeps standing above them, shocked and clean, you have not just witnessed conflict, you have watched a script being performed. Here is something Dr. Robert Hare discovered in his lab at the University of British Columbia that still disturbs his former students. He recorded long interviews with diagnosed psychopaths in maximum security prisons. When he later analyzed the linguistic patterns, he noticed something strange. Their speech was too smooth, too consistent, too lacking in what linguists call disfluencies. The uhs, ums, hesitations, and self-corrections that every normal human produces when recalling real events. When a healthy person tells a story, the story changes slightly each time. Details shift. Emphasis moves. They correct themselves. Actually, no, it was Tuesday, not Wednesday. The dangerous person tells the same story, the same way every time, because it is not a memory. It is a script. Kevin Dutton, in The Wisdom of Psychopaths, documented how high-functioning psychopaths, the ones who don't end up in prisons but in boardrooms, use language as a surgical instrument. They choose words not for truth but for effect. Listen for it. The person who tells you about their trauma the third time using the identical phrasing as the first. Who explains why every ex-partner was unreasonable with the same 3 adjectives? Whose childhood narrative fits too neatly into a story arc? Who never contradicts themselves, not because they are unusually truthful, but because they have rehearsed. Normal human memory is messy. It is fragmented. It rebuilds the past each time we speak about it. Studies by Elizabeth Loftus at UC Irvine on the reconstructive nature of memory show that healthy recollection is inherently imperfect. Not because people lie, but because the brain is not a recorder. It is a recreator. The dangerous person does not recreate. They retrieve. The story is stored as a performance, not as a memory, because it was never completely authentic to begin with. Test this the next time you suspect someone. Wait months. Then ask them to tell you the same formative story again. Not pointedly, just in passing. If the adjectives match, if the beats are identical, if the villain in the story gets the same descriptor, you are listening to a practiced monologue, not a recollection. This is how they pass job interviews, first dates, and introductions to your family. They are not speaking. They are performing a character named after themselves. And you are the audience they are recruiting. The psychology tilts darker here because this sign seduces even intelligent people. The dangerous person will confess to small sins. They will tell you they used to lie as a teenager, that they once cheated on an exam, that they had a rough breakup where they may have overreacted, that they can be a little controlling sometimes. You mistake this for self-awareness, for vulnerability, for honesty. It is none of those things. It is inoculation. Dr. Robert Cialdini, in his foundational 1984 book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, mapped a reflex built deep into human social wiring. When someone discloses a perceived weakness, our brain pays them with trust. We feel compelled to match their vulnerability with our own, The dangerous person exploits this reflex with remarkable precision. They confess the small, forgivable flaw, jealousy, a white lie, a youthful mistake, to preemptively vaccinate themselves against suspicion of the larger behavior they are actively hiding. I can be a little manipulative sometimes. You hear self-awareness. You think if they can admit that, they must be honest about the rest. What you actually heard was a strategic move, because now, when you later catch them in a manipulation, your brain files it under the thing they already told you about. Not a pattern you should escape. The Roman Emperor Elagabalus, who reigned from 218 to 222 AD, understood this instinctively. Historical sources describe him confessing his strange tastes openly at court, laughing about his own excesses. Courtiers felt he was being charmingly transparent. They relaxed. They stopped watching. By the time he was removed from power at 19, the confessions had covered up actions far darker than the ones he advertised. The small admissions were a smokescreen for the things he never mentioned. Robert Greene repeatedly highlights this mechanism in his analysis of power. The skilled manipulator understands that occasionally, admitting a minor flaw makes the appearance of honesty more convincing. A confession is not evidence of honesty. A confession is evidence that the confessor has decided which flaw to advertise. Pay attention to what they never confess. Pay attention to the shape of what is missing from their autobiography. The dangerous person controls the spotlight. They don't point it at nothing. They point it at the one room that is already tidy, so you never look in the basement. Somewhere around the third or fourth month of knowing them, you will notice a strange imbalance. They can recite in forensic detail every mistake you have ever made. The thing you said at that party in May. The birthday you forgot. The tone you used once when you were tired. The text that came through 12 minutes late. All of it catalogued. But when you bring up something they did, the cruelty from last week, the promise broken, the lie you caught, the memory suddenly goes foggy. I don't remember it that way. That's not what happened. Why? Are you bringing up something from so long ago? This is asymmetric memory, and it is not accidental forgetting. Albert Bandura, the late Stanford psychologist, spent decades mapping a phenomenon he called moral disengagement. His research identified cognitive mechanisms that allow otherwise normal humans to commit harmful acts without guilt. One of them, distortion of consequences, operates almost entirely through selective memory. The perpetrator genuinely does not carry the damage they caused with the same weight that the victim does. With you, however, they run the opposite program. Your mistakes are encoded like criminal evidence, stored, dated, filed, ready to be deployed the next time they need leverage. This asymmetry has a purpose. It turns every disagreement into a trial where you are always the defendant. They will hold the list. You will never hold the list. Because every time you try to build one, they will either deny the event, reframe the event, or make you feel irrational for remembering the event correctly. This is the original meaning of the word gaslighting before it became a social media buzzword. The term comes from the 1944 film Gaslight, and the concept was far more specific than modern usage suggests. It was not merely lying, it was weaponized memory inversion, the systematic replacement of another person's recollection of reality with a version that benefits the manipulator. Dr. Robert Hare documented this pattern repeatedly. Psychopaths do not simply deny wrongdoing. They rewrite it. They become the victims of the events they caused. And they do it so smoothly that even their victims begin to doubt what they saw with their own eyes. Test this yourself. Write something down. A specific event, time, place, words exchanged. Keep it private. Then wait for them to reframe it in front of you. When they tell you it never happened or that you were the one who said that, you will have in your hand proof of a behavior that most victims never get evidence for. The evidence is not the event. The evidence is the editing. Pause here. Something uncomfortable has to be said before we go further. If you have been nodding through the last 4 signs with a specific face in your mind, a co-worker, a parent, a partner, a friend, there is a question you need to ask yourself before the rest of this lands. How long have you known? Not how long have you suspected. How long have you known in the back of your mind? The part of you that sees clearly even when the rest refuses to look? Because the next 3 signs are not the ones that help you identify a dangerous person. They are the ones that explain why you are still in their life. That is the mechanism most people do not want to examine. It is the uncomfortable center of this video. The dangerous person does not stay in a life because you failed to spot them. They stay because they built a structure around you that makes leaving feel more painful than staying. 3 more signs, each more invasive than the last, each designed to explain not them, but you. Sign 5, the loyalty test. Early in the relationship, whether romantic, professional, or social, they will present you with a test. It will not feel like a test. It will feel like a confidence. They will ask you to take their side in a conflict you do not fully understand, to cut off a mutual friend based on their version of events, to share information about someone else that should not have been shared, to choose between them and someone who has done you no wrong. Robert Greene repeatedly demonstrates that power dynamics often reveal themselves through small acts of allegiance long before major betrayals occur. The dangerous person applies this principle to personal relationships. They must know early whether they can direct your hostility, whether you can be used. The test is usually structured as a small request. Block them on social media for me. Don't tell her we're meeting. Next time you see him, give him the cold shoulder. Each request feels minor in isolation, but it is not one request. It is the opening move of an ongoing recruitment. If you comply, 2 things happen simultaneously and both work in their favor. First, you have now done something you cannot easily undo. You have acted against someone, even in a small way, on behalf of this person. You are implicated. You share ownership of the act. Second, they have confirmed you are an asset, not a threat. You have just been promoted from friend to soldier. Cialdini's work on commitment and consistency explains why you will rarely question the next request. Humans are neurologically wired to remain consistent with past behavior. Having sided with them once, your brain will rationalize the next request to avoid the cognitive dissonance of admitting the first one was wrong. They know this intuitively. They are not your friend. They are running you through a corridor of small compromises, each narrower than the last, until you cannot turn around. By the time you realize you have become someone you do not recognize, you have already cut ties with the people who would have warned you. That is the point of the test. Not to verify loyalty, to eliminate your witnesses. Sign 6, the intermittent cruelty. Now we arrive at the mechanism that explains why victims stay. Why otherwise intelligent, educated, capable people remain in relationships the rest of the world cannot understand. It is not weakness, it is biology. In the 1950s, B.F. Skinner, the behavioral psychologist at Harvard, demonstrated something that changed how we understand addiction, gambling, and every abusive relationship that has ever existed. He called it intermittent reinforcement. Skinner placed pigeons in boxes with levers. When a lever delivered a food pellet every single time, the pigeons pecked calmly. When it stopped delivering, they stopped pecking quickly and moved on. Rational behavior. But when the lever delivered pellets unpredictably, sometimes yes, sometimes no, on no discernible pattern, The pigeons pecked obsessively, frantically, long after the pellets had stopped coming entirely. The unpredictability itself was more addictive than the reward. The dangerous person discovered this thousands of years before. Skinner put it in a lab. They do not treat you poorly all the time. That would drive you away. They do not treat you well all the time. That would not create dependency. They randomize. A week of warmth, then a cold Thursday without explanation. An affectionate Sunday followed by 3 days of unexplained distance followed by a grand gesture. That makes you forgive everything you cannot quite name. Your nervous system becomes a casino. Dr. Donald Dutton and Dr. Susan Painter at the University of British Columbia published research in 1981 describing this exact phenomenon in unhealthy relationships. They named it traumatic bonding, the same neurochemistry that makes slot machines addictive. Dopamine spikes on unpredictable reward, binds people to destructive relationships with a force they often cannot explain to themselves, let alone to outsiders. People trapped in these dynamics will often describe the other person with a strange two-voiced language. He can be so wonderful. She has a good side. You don't know him like I do. They are not defending the harmful behavior. They are defending the slot machine, because the slot machine has paid out sometimes unpredictably, and the brain that received those payouts remembers them more vividly than the losses. The dangerous person calibrates this deliberately. They know exactly how distant they can become before you leave. They know exactly when to become warm again. They have learned your breaking point not by accident, but by experimentation. You are the pigeon. You have been pecking at the lever for years. And the most haunting fact Skinner proved, the one they don't tell you, is that animals trained on intermittent reinforcement continue pecking longer after the reward stops than animals who received consistent reward. Translation: even after the dangerous person leaves your life, the behavior of waiting for their approval may persist for months, possibly years. They have installed themselves in your neurology. The escape is not emotional. It is biochemical. Sign 7, the moral inversion. Everything covered so far has a common feature. Harmful behavior you can see if you look. But there is a 7th sign that operates underneath all of them. The one Robert Greene understood best. The one that, once deployed, makes the dangerous person not merely difficult but almost impossible to escape without lasting damage to the person you were before you met them. They will convince you that you are the problem. This is moral inversion. It is the crown jewel of psychological manipulation because it weaponizes your own conscience against you. The dangerous person has little interest in examining their own guilt, but they know that you do. Your guilt is one of the largest vulnerabilities in your nervous system, so they exploit it with precision. When you confront them, they become the injured party first. When you ask for what you need, you are selfish. When you leave, you are cruel for abandoning them. When you set a boundary, you are controlling. When you remember what they did, you are bitter. When you forgive them, you are weak for letting them back in. Every possible response on your part is rewritten in real time as evidence of your moral failure. Hannah Arendt, the political philosopher who observed Adolf Eichmann's 1961 trial in Jerusalem, coined the phrase the banality of evil to describe something ordinary people struggle to comprehend. Eichmann was not a raging monster in court. He was a meticulous bureaucrat. He had convinced himself through layers of moral reframing that he was simply a good employee doing his duty. He was the hero of his own story right up to the end. Arendt's insight was that evil at its highest functional level does not experience itself as evil. The dangerous person is not pretending to believe they are good. They genuinely believe it, and this is what makes the inversion so effective. Because they are not lying when they cry, when they accuse you, when they cast themselves as the wounded party. Their sincerity is the weapon. Robert Hare documented this pattern across thousands of psychopathic interviews. His subjects, when asked about the suffering they caused, almost always redirected the narrative to their own suffering. You don't understand what I went through. They shouldn't have provoked me. Society is unfair to people like me. The syntax is always the same. Their harmful behavior is framed as a response. Your response is framed as harm. Once you accept even a fraction of this framing, once you begin to wonder, am I actually the bad one here? They have won the war without another move. Paulus and Williams, in their landmark 2002 paper in the Journal of Research in Personality that first established the dark triad as a scientific construct, noted that all three traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, share one central feature beneath the surface differences: a fundamental resistance to self-blame. You cannot win an argument with someone whose operating system does not permit them to be wrong. You can only recognize that the argument is not an argument. It is a loop designed to exhaust you until you accept their version of reality as the price of peace. The only exit is recognizing the loop exists and refusing to enter it. Not with anger, not with justification, not by trying to convince them, by leaving the conversation while they are still trying to pull you back into it. Look back at the 7, the sacrificial proxy, the rehearsed coherence, the calibrated confession, the asymmetric memory, the loyalty test, the intermittent cruelty, the moral inversion. If you are honest with yourself, brutally, uncomfortably honest, you have already identified the person in your life who carries all 7, not 4, not 5, all 7. The reason you have not yet acted on what you already know is not because the evidence is unclear. It is because clarity is the most painful thing in the human experience. Clarity forces decisions. Decisions have costs, and the dangerous person has spent a long time making sure the cost of leaving exceeds the cost of staying. Robert Greene's work repeatedly returns to a similar lesson about power and survival. The wise strategist never waits for a threat to fully reveal itself. By the time the danger becomes obvious to everyone, the damage has already been done. The signs of the storm preparing. You have been taught to wait for the lightning. For the moment the dangerous person does something undeniable, something everyone around you agrees is unacceptable, that moment may never come because the truly skilled manipulator is too disciplined to allow it. They operate just beneath the threshold of public evidence. They keep their cruelty private, intermittent, and deniable. You will never get the confirmation the outside world requires. You are the only witness. That is the role they assigned you. One last thought before you close this. The dangerous person is not the greatest threat to your life. Your willingness to doubt your own perception after years of being told you were the problem is the greater threat. The day you believe yourself without needing their agreement is the day they lose access to you. And you walk out not through a door, but through your own restored mind. Subscribe if you haven't.